Best time of the week. It's time for the predictions versus Rutgers.
You are Locked On Golden Gophers, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, Gopher fans? You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And usually on these late ones, the prediction shows, we have our boy Tristyn Spann-Ford, but our schedules were just not clicking in the late stages of this week. I had a conference for work. He had some family time that he had planned out that he had to get to this evening. So I'm going to hit it by myself, solo dolo. We got a little false advertising on the window over on YouTube if you're looking, where it says with Tristyn Spann-Ford, but he will be back next week. And hopefully next week he's back. We're talking 7-3 Gophers. We're talking 5 straight wins, and that boy will be ready to go full force on an Penn State Minnesota hype. I think he will be ready. I think he'll be right there. But the Gophers have to hold up their end of the deal, and they got to get this dub this weekend. So we're going to dive into a quicker show for today. We're still doing our predictions, and we're going to dive into maybe some thoughts on how deep or how specific we can get with some of these predictions. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we got the luck on our side. But we got to talk about that Illinois win first, because finally the Gophers beat Brett Bielema. They've finally beaten him in 11 tries now on the road versus his ranked team, and they finally get a dub. Now, I was going to ask Tristyn what his favorite moment or thing from that Illinois win was, but unfortunately we can't do that. But I will tell you that my favorite moment of that was watching DT have his breakout game, because he's had some moments throughout the season. He's had some big games throughout the season, usually against opponents that aren't quite up to snuff, but I had called ahead of time, this is the game where I think he's going to go crazy, and I think the Rutgers game has an opportunity to do that as well. And I think we're going to dive into what my thoughts are on that today. But seeing DT finally have that breakthrough game, not only on the ground, but in the pass game as well, was just amazing to see. Now, if you listened to our prediction show last week, your boy Tristyn Spann-Ford was going crazy on some of those predictions, some of the things that he predicted that were so dang close. He said, overall, let me make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. He had Darius Taylor with 132 rush yards as his guess. Darius Taylor finished with 131 rush yards. He was literally 1 yard off. On top of that, he had Justin Walley as his player of the game for defense. Justin Walley had the most tackles on the team, was playing pretty well on that front. Had Darius Taylor as offensive breakout. Got a point on that one. And his final score prediction was Minnesota 24, Illinois 14. The final score was Minnesota 25, Illinois 17. Tristyn Spann-Ford was on a heater. So he definitely won the predictions last week. I got to give props where props are due. But I'm definitely going to win this week because he won't be here to claim his points. So we'll be back at that tied record heading into the Penn State week after another bye. But let's talk about this Rutgers team. Let's talk about what Rutgers has gone through so far this season, because everyone was championing them as this team that could maybe win double-digit games. Their schedule was super easy. They didn't have to play Michigan. They didn't have to play Oregon. They didn't have to play Ohio State. And so everyone's like, oh, they might get 10 wins. They're going to dominate. Their schedule is going to be so easy. It's going to be a cakewalk for them to get 10 wins on the season. Look at Schiano. He's so amazing. He made this team 7+ wins. He got a big bowl win with no talent at all. Everyone was ready to crown Rutgers. And I was like, whoa. Hold on. Slow your roll. Because yes, what he did with Rutgers is impressive. And he's done that before. And it took some time to get there. But I'm not ready to crown them right yet now. I'm not ready to say that last year wasn't the anomaly as opposed to something that's going to be more consistent for this team. Now, they still have to prove me wrong, because you start off the season and it looked like I was looking like an idiot. Everyone else was right. They started out 4-0 on the season versus Howard, blowout win, Akron, blowout win, Virginia Tech, win, but only a field goal win. And then Washington, again, another game where they won by 3 points. And Washington basically played like the Gophers versus UNC. They had 2 missed field goals in their final 3 drives, one of them being a game-winning field goal opportunity. Missed both of them. Rutgers goes on to win that game. So overall, they could have lost that game, plain and simple. The Virginia Tech game could have been a loss. And if those 2 games were losses, this team is looking abysmal right now. But currently, they're sitting at 4-4 because after they started 4-0, they have lost 4 straight. So they're coming off of a 4-game losing streak and a bye week. So they've had the extra preparation for Minnesota heading into this week, and that could play into their favor. But overall, they've been on the downswing. They've been on a tough losing streak, and I think Minnesota can keep that streak going because they have the right personnel and the right play style to hurt this Rutgers team. But overall, the last 2 games Rutgers has played have also been, or I think 2 of the last 3 have also been really big losses as well. Versus Wisconsin, they lost by over 20 points, and versus USC, which was their last game before their bye week, they lost by 22 points. So this is a team Minnesota absolutely can beat, plain and simple, because when Rutgers has played a power school, they've either won by a hair of their chin or they have lost, plain and simple. Minnesota, on the other hand, has done fairly well. They have lost very close in 2 different games. They've had 1 bad loss, and then they've won every other game after that. So I think Minnesota is set up to do well, not only because Rutgers struggles with the run, which Darius Taylor can answer the call, not only because Rutgers has been on the downswing, but Minnesota knows this quarterback better than anyone else. So I've been calling this a 1-year rivalry. It's not a long-term thing. It's not anything that I want to disrespect the real rivalries that we have going. But this 1 year feels like it's teed up to have some extra special pizzazz behind it, extra special motivation behind it, especially with how things fell out with Ethan Kaligmanis, PJ Fleck, and the Gophers. So overall, I think that I am really excited for this weekend. And one thing I am looking forward to most is how this Gophers team attacks throughout the game. Are they going to be more aggressive? Is PJ going to be like, look, I'm trying to prove a point here because Kirk Shiraka, you left me high and dry. Ethan Kaligmanis, you left me high and dry. And I don't know if that's high and dry. I don't know if he was kind of ushered to the door or anything like that. Don't have all the filled details on that one. I don't want to tap the sources that I do have to figure it out because in the end, what's done is done and we're moving on. But regardless, there might be a little bit of extra like wanting to prove a point from both ends. PJ Fleck might want to do so, and Kirk Shiraka and Ethan Kaligmanis might be on the flip side of like, look, let's prove him wrong. Let's show him that he was the problem, not you. So we'll see what happens between these two, but I'm really excited for this game, and that is probably the number one thing that I'm looking forward to most. Now, I was going to ask Tristyn Spann-Ford, who do he think wants it more between Ethan Kaligmanis and PJ Fleck? And I think it's a good question. But I would venture to guess that PJ Fleck will want it more in terms of, look, all we do is win, 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 no matter what. And I think Ethan Kaligmanis will want it more on the terms of, you did me wrong, and I'm going to prove you why, or I'm going to show you why. Because PJ Fleck can't really look at Ethan and say, look, you did us wrong. Like, in the end, like, they just, the system fit and everything like that didn't work out. But Ethan Kaligmanis has had some more success this year. He still struggled with some completion percentage and what have you, but less interceptions, got some big wins to start the season, has had some big moments. So overall, you can't say like he did PJ wrong. So I think when it comes to who wants it more, who has the fire to prove someone wrong, I could see Ethan Kaligmanis having more motivation on that front. But I think the Gophers are going to be looking to prove a point as well. So I think that's why I'm really curious about this. I'm also curious to see if Max Brosmer will have that extra fire to be like, look, young fella, They made the right choice by bringing me in because you were going to be the backup had you not transferred. So good thing you got out because this is my squad. It would be cool to see him put that little extra touch, extra little flair, extra little flex on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. But overall, I think the Gophers are going to lean into the run game on this one. They're still going to let Max Brosmer-Cook do his thing, just like they did versus Illinois. But I think the run game and Darius Taylor are going to be priority numero uno for the Gophers offense this upcoming week. When it comes to spicy takes, I think the Gophers are going to have 2 turnovers forced with their defense. And I think the make or break, it's not even a make or break. I think the Gophers are going to win big in this game. I think that my spicy take is that Kyle Monangai and Darius Taylor, the battle between those two is going to take on some new heights because I think both of them could draw a ton of NFL interest. And I think this game could be the moment where both of them kind of get some extra shine, some extra looks, some extra love, and get put more on the radar, especially Darius Taylor as he continues to move forward, knowing he has at least one more year before he can test those draft waters. But overall, I think my spiciest take is probably that Minnesota forces 2 turnovers in this game. Now we're going to dive into the actual predictions, actual stat guesses, and all of that. Since we don't have Tristyn, we're going to try to get specific. That is what is coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs because when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for your role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs because LinkedIn Jobs is the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Because LinkedIn Jobs isn't just a job board. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. That's the biggest thing I can't stress enough. LinkedIn helps you find professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. Now, on LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So you should hire professionals like a professional over on LinkedIn, where 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring. On top of that, LinkedIn knows that you have all the hats that you're wearing. You got your accounting hat, you've got your customer service hat, all of that stuff going on, and you might not have the time or the resources to hire. So LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions and make it quicker than ever. So post about your job for free over at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post about your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Gophers fans, we're diving into those actual predictions, but don't forget to go over to Locked On Minnesota Sports and hit follow because after every Gopher game, we jump in with the live postcast with Ron Johnson, former Gopher, Gophers legend, number 3 all-time in Gophers receiving yards, as well as myself and then Luke Inman. We jump on and we talk about everything you just saw and what to look forward to moving forward. So be sure to hit subscribe over at Locked On Minnesota Sports so you can check out the live post-game after the game. Now let's jump into these more specific predictions because first of all, first question I had for us was, do the Gophers get a turnover this week? Now I already said yes, but I said, if so, who? So we're going to take our shot here. I think the Gophers are getting 2 interceptions in this game. I don't think there's going to be any fumbles forced that they recover at least, but 2 interceptions. I'm going to go 1 to Coy Parrish. And I'm going to go 1 to Ethan Robinson. Ethan Robinson has been in the right places at the right time over these last few games, but he just hasn't been able to come up with the ball. He's had some PBUs. He's had some really big plays, big third down stops. But I think this is the week that he gets one and gets back on the board in the interception category. Also think Coy Parrish is going to have a big game. Last week was a little quieter for him. I don't expect too many quiet games when it comes to Coy Parrish. He always has a moment of shine, whether it be defensively or on the return game. It could be both this week, but I think Coy Parrish gets an interception. If it's not Coy Parrish, it's going to be Kerry Brown, one of the safeties, young safeties on the freshman of the year watch list right now. Shouts out to both of them. Only team, I believe, that has 2 players in the semifinalists. So shout out to those safeties. One of the 2 safeties gets this interception and Ethan Robinson gets the other one. That's my call. Will Daniel Jackson break 100 yards? Now, like I said, I think the Gophers are going to lean really hard in the ground game. It doesn't mean that they don't get enough receiving yards to get Daniel Jackson 100, but I think Daniel Jackson's going to sit more in the 60 to 80 range. I'm going to say Daniel Jackson has 68 receiving yards and a touchdown this week. Probably has about 10 or 11 targets, 7 or 8 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. That's what I'm calling for Daniel Jackson. Very specific. We'll see if the mojo is going strong. Crystal ball. If I hit on these in specific, like Tristyn Spann-Ford almost did with Darius Taylor's rush yards last week, I might be grabbing a plane ticket, heading to Vegas, and just dropping all the money to get back in the green when it comes to some of this stuff. But overall, next question I had was, how many pass yards will Ethan Kaliakmanis have? I think Ethan Kaliakmanis is going to be under 200 yards passing in this game. I believe he has one 300-yard game on the year. I think he has a couple 200s. Maybe I'll pull that up as we go. But overall, I think that the Rutgers offense is very similar to what Minnesota's offense was last year. They're not really looking to air the ball out and have a ton of passing yards or anything like that. They're really just looking to open up the run game with the pass game. And so the RPO game is what helps do that. So they put Ethan in those type of situations to help open up the running game. But right now, Ethan Kaliakmanis, his last 2 games, he's been above 280 yards. He's had 313 and then 287. So I look right now, he definitely could get over 200. Maybe I'm shooting a little too low for him. Overall, before that, though, it was 103, 186, 115, 269, 230, and 147. So prior to the last 2 games, he had 4 of his 6 games as one or under 200 yards. So it's not a terrible call. 4 of his 8 games total have been under 200 yards. So it could go either way. I think the Gophers have one of the best pass defenses in the nation. And on top of that, I think they have the best pass defense by far of any of the teams that the Rutgers Scarlet Knights have played. Washington's also one of the better pass defenses, secondaries, pass defenses in the country. And he had 115 yards passing and 1 touchdown against Washington. So yeah, I'm going to lock it in under 200 yards passing for Ethan Kaliakmanis this week. I also think he has 1 to 2 interceptions on the week. So overall, it's going to be a struggle for him, I think. How many pass yards will Brosmer have in this one? I think right now Brosmer is averaging close to like 210, 220 yards a game. I could be off on that. I had the right number last week, but I know it's shifted a little bit with that Illinois game. So overall, I think Max Brosmer probably passes for just over 200 yards, maybe like 205, 210. I think he sits right there. Last week he had 213. The week before that he had 320. Then the 2 games before that he was under 200. Then he had 209, 258, 271. So even 2 of the games that he's been under 200, he's been in the 190s. I think it's safe bet to get him right around that 200 line. So I'm going to say he's at 210 to finish this week passing. Now, who will win the battle of the rush yards this week between these 2 dominant running backs that are some of the best running backs in the conference? I think Monangai is going to have more rush yards than Darius Taylor. That doesn't feel right saying it out loud. I can't be a complete homer on this one. I do think Monangai is going to have about 110 to 120 rush yards. I think Darius Taylor is also going to be a key in this game, but maybe Darius Taylor only has 95 to 100 rush yards, but he also has another 50 to 60 through the air, giving him 160 all-purpose yards this week. So I think Darius Taylor has the most all-purpose yards this week, but I think Monangai might outrush him on that front. So overall, I'm going to go lean Monangai for rushing yards, but I hope Darius Taylor shuts me up, has another huge game like he did versus Illinois. Let PJ go balls to the wall. Let him get over 200 rushing yards. Let him have his pop-off game against Rutgers. Lay it down. Yeah, I'm going to lock that in. I was really tempted right there. I know Mo Ibrahim absolutely gashed Rutgers last time we played him. So I was like, maybe Darius Taylor is just going to hurt these folks. But I'm going to stick with my gut. I'm not going to second guess myself. Who leads the team in tackles? I'm going to say that Cody Lindenberg has a big game in that front, especially with them wanting to run the ball a lot. That means our linebackers are going to try to fit the gaps and stop the run, or put themselves in the position to hopefully stop the run and not have too many missed tackles. So Cody Lindenberg is going to have the most tackles on the team. First touchdown scored, I'm going to say Darius Taylor, easy money. offensive breakout of the week. So not the offensive player of the week, but who could have a breakout game? I've been calling for more Lemecki touches and looks and whatnot. I don't think that's going to happen. Look, Christian Driver is a player. I think he's going to have one big game this year, and I think he's going to be the leading receiver for of these guys who are on the team right now for next year. So I think they're going to find ways to get him involved, and that one of these days I'm going to be right on that call. But I think Christian Driver is the one who has the breakout game in this week. Defensive player of the game, I'm going to go Devin Eastern. Like I said, I think they're going to run the ball a lot, and I think Devin Eastern is going to be a player who is going to be needed a ton to help stuff the run. And then my final score prediction. So my final score prediction for this Rutgers versus Minnesota game is Minnesota 35, Rutgers 17. I don't think it's going to be close. Could it be close? Absolutely. I know a lot of people out there are saying, I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's the line right now is 6 points in favor of Minnesota. I think Minnesota is going to win by more than a touchdown. I think Minnesota is going to win by at least 10 double-digit points, at least 10 points, but I've got it 35-17, so I've got them over doubling what Rutgers is putting on the board. I think it's going to be a big win for Minnesota, and they're going to head into another bye week with some more momentum, 5 straight wins, and prepping for Penn State, where anything could happen. Now, we're going to close out today's show talking about my biggest worry, what gives me confidence, an unsung hero, and then also one final question to wrap up today's show. That's what's coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about our friends over at Robinhood, because with Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. The product specific disclosures. Visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And while we're at it, we got to talk about our friends over at FanDuel, because FanDuel is the place to be when it comes to making bets on sports. And right now, it is the high time for sports, in my opinion. You've got the NBA going. You've got the NHL going. You've got the NFL going. You've got college football going. College basketball just kicked off. There's so many options and opportunities for you to take your best bet and make the extra cash. And right now, you can get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL or college football in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. It's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Gophers fans, we're wrapping this one up talking about my biggest worry in the game. Now, my biggest worry in the game, you've heard me talk about it all week, is Kyle Monangai, plain and simple. This is the type of running back that Minnesota has struggled with over the past 2 years, the type of running back that has hurt them and caused them to lose games. Minnesota's only lost 3 games on the season, and guess what? All 3 of those losses had a running back of this style to tear them apart. You're talking about Caleb Johnson, who absolutely scorched them for over 200 yards and multiple touchdowns. You're talking about Omarion Hampton, who was the only reason North Carolina had any chance at staying in that game, along with their kicker, of course. And then you had the Michigan game where Khalil Mullings just found the extra power and the extra motor in the first half of that game to keep Michigan alive and going. So Kyle Monangai is my biggest worry, plain and simple. If they can't slow him down, if they can't sure-handedly tackle him and not be missing tackles left and right, then that is what could hurt this Gophers team. And I would say, look, they've been shoring it up over the last few weeks. They are 36th, I believe, in the country in rush defense. But then you look at Illinois' first touchdown last week, and you look at like 3-4 missed tackles on the one play for one of the biggest rushing yard touchdowns that Minnesota's given up in the past 4 or 5 weeks. So seeing that little hint of it got me a little scared. It has me a little concerned, and that is my biggest worry. Now, what gives me confidence is that, again, this Rutgers defense has not been good all year, both passing and rushing, but the rushing has given up some big games. Jonah Coleman for Washington had 148 rush yards. Tawi Walker for Wisconsin had 198 rush yards. Darius Taylor can easily fit that same mold and be involved in the pass game. So I think Darius Taylor is going to be the MVP of this game, bring home the Gophers' 5th win on the season, and then keep this game not too close. Who will be the unsung hero? I just said I think Darius Taylor is the MVP. I think overall, if you're talking about a player that has a big moment, a big turning point for this game, I would either say Ethan Robinson with that pick or Coy Parrish with either a big return or an interception himself. Those are my 2 guesses for unsung hero. And then finally, how do you feel about playing Ethan Kaligmanis, and what will you be watching on that front? I think overall, what I'm looking forward to about playing Ethan Kaligmanis is just seeing the difference in quarterback play between someone we've just watched for a year and a half and someone who we've just been growing to love over this past season. I think seeing the dramatically different styles of quarterback play between those two is going to be really interesting to see from a Gophers perspective, and something really interesting to watch. Now, I like Ethan Kaligmanis. I'm a fan of Ethan Kaligmanis. I had a good relationship with him here when he played for the Gophers. I've got no love lost for Ethan Kaligmanis overall. I hope he has success moving forward. I think he has 1 year of eligibility moving forward next year again. And I hope he does well with Rutgers. I hope he doesn't do great against Minnesota when they play. But outside of that, I hope he has a great finish to his career. So overall, it's going to be interesting. I hope the Gophers show up, though. I hope they show big. I hope they do get 2 interceptions. I hope they really slow it down. And I hope they prove to themselves that the system does work and that they're verified in their truth in that front. So overall, that is my best bet for this game. I hope you're excited for it. I think it's going to be one of the better games of the year for the Gophers. I look forward to it. And then we're going to talk about more during the bye week. Some things coming up with the final 2 games beyond this one. Will the Gophers be on a 5-game win streak? We'll dive into all of that and more here at Locked On Golden Gophers. Until then, I'll see you next time. Roll the boat, Sky Umago Gophers, as always. And please don't forget to hit subscribe.